Hey Gib, this is Natasha. This is the infusion that was due on 11/26. Out of the second round of books, I would say one book that really struck me to ring true in my life, as far as personally and career wise, was Creative Confidence. Growing up, I've always been that person that would say, I'm not an artist, I'm not creative. It's no way that I am a creative person, that I could sit and create anything. And I think a lot of that comes from that in my mind, I always correlated being creative with art. When creativity on a grander scale is way more than just being able to create some type of artistic work, tangible artistic work, whether that be a clay structure or a painting or drawing, etc. And I really appreciate Creative Confidence because the book really talks about how creativity is something that every human is born with. It's just some people more easily are able to tap into that creativity easier than others. One of the chapters in the book that I really found extremely helpful is the chapter Spark from Blank Page to Insight. And a lot of times I think that when it comes to new business ventures or ideas, sometimes at some point in the your your storming phase, or you're trying to figure out, okay, what sets me aside from my competitors, what are the things that makes me different, or we need to pivot. It's really easy to get into a space where you're drawing a blank page, or sometimes it's I want to create something new, a new product, a new service, a new something, but I'm drawing a blank. I don't know what to do. So when you are facing this blank, quote unquote, blank page, they kind of give you like 8 steps of how to kind of navigate and for spark and creativity when facing that blank page. So you always want to be able to choose creativity. You have to decide to make it happen. You have to decide that at this point in moment, I want to be creative. I want to create something. I want to put a dot on that blank page, that blank canvas. Then it's important for us to think like a traveler. Don't just sit in the office and wait for some grand idea to come to you. You should take opportunities to engage in different experiences and ideas that would help you to think outside of the box and generate some type of non-traditional creative thinking that you wouldn't have typically thought of if you kept yourself in essentially a box. 3, you want to make sure that you engaged relaxed attention. So you don't want to just sit and focus on a specific task. When it comes to creativity, you want to instead kind of relax and allow your mind to make connections between things that may be seemingly unrelated. And I do this a lot. So I remember when I first started the Copy Mile project and I was writing a grant and trying to figure out, okay, I want to create this composting educational program, or what's the components. The room, I had it covered in like the really big sticky note paper, post-it paper, and I had probably about 3, 4 different colors of sticky notes, and I just wrote ideas down and stuck them around the room. So imagine just walking in my office and just seeing sticky notes all over the place. And then I would just kind of sit, and I had all these random ideas and things that didn't necessarily relate. And I could look up, I could look at maybe this poster or that poster over there, and then all of a sudden I grab 2 sticky notes. And I'm like, these 2 things fit. So when it comes to composting, for example, it's connected to growing. It's connected to health and nutrition. It's this process of decomposition of food waste is directly connected to having a nutrient rich soil to grow the best possible produce that you're trying to grow. Whether it's tomatoes, whether it's peppers, whether it's thyme or sage or chocolate mint, composting, growing is kind of related. And it's usually processes in the food chain that people don't usually correlate as being something that's connected. Four, you want to empathize with your end user, and it's, it pretty much allows you to be able to come up with something that your end user would want. So for me, a lot of my empathizing is me growing up in a similar situation and then going to the elementary schools and talking to the kids and just having real conversations about, what are the challenges that you face. I know your parents think that you experience A, B, C, X, Y, Z, but talking to kids, it's really like, hey, we got problem G through F, and this is what we feel is important to us. So I feel like when you empathize with your end user, you'll come up with better ideas to understand what they want. Five, you got to get out and you got to do observations in the field. You want to observe what others and you might discover is new opportunities in plain sight. Everybody's aware of urban farms, but it wasn't until I started talking to stakeholders, so the urban farm, the Baltimore Farm Alliance, Maria, which is the executive director of the urban Baltimore Farm Alliance, just actually getting out there and talking. And it was just like, initially, I just wanted a certificate program. But through talking, found out that Coppin had a real opportunity to be a hub and to create this connectivity that was lacking in the urban agricultural space. You want to ask questions starting with why, and a series of why questions can lead you to the past surface detail and kind of get you deeper to the core issues. And then you want to be able to reframe your challenges. So the first step towards any solution is to reframe the question. What ways did you not look at attacking a problem? And then eight is basically to build a creative support network. Have a group of people that bounce ideas off of. Without this process of having my trusted circle of friends and colleagues, such as Carol, yourself, Zoel, a lair that I will call in the middle of the night, like just having those trusted people that will listen to your idea and give you quality feedback definitely means a difference of you being able to be creative. So I think that a creative confidence really allowed me to see that even if I have a team that may feel the same way I feel and feel like they're not creative, I can kind of nudge them out this notion of thinking that they're not creative and kind of push them into a creative space. So, this is definitely a book that would be helpful in my personal life, in my studies, in my career, and just moving forward as an entrepreneur. So, thank you for listening. Have a good night.